10 feet. I mean,
I will
especially
say
the
10.
last 10. And it's just standard practice that everybody in HEMA wears black.
Okay.
So I mean that's why he was commenting. I mean I am, as you know, I am not a fencing master. I don't claim to be. I'm not the best fencer that I know.
Yeah.
I think I'm a good teacher, and I just have a lot of experience with it. And and I'm doing this with some blessings from people that I know in Columbia who are serious students of legitimate fencing masters,
Yeah.
right?
So it's for your passion.
Yeah. Okay, so
Can you present yourself and present the school name and everything? So
oh
just
yeah.
for effects of the.
Yeah, okay, so my name's Scott Wright, and what we're trying to do is get started with Queen City Classical Fencing. Having moved here from Columbia, I spent a lot of time doing classical fencing in Columbia at Columbia Classical Fencing. Moving here, I found that there was a little bit of fencing going on, but nothing that I would really consider disciplined classical fencing. Right? And so I started to look into a place to get a club going, and then COVID hit. So that changed everything. And then I got started with a group of young people. I guess it was like the first summer after COVID got started. And they had just moved here, and they're young people and a core group of friends, and just a weird twist of fate. Two of them got married, and those two plus their friend moved to Kansas City, right? So we got a little bit of a start, and then it's like the core group kind of fell apart, and then we had like more waves of COVID, and then there was this attempt here, in the spring when you and I got connected, and actually several people have reached out and expressed interest in wanting to learn classical fencing, and some of them have some background in fencing, some of them have studied with Nick Evangelista, some of them, like you, don't have any experience at all. And so we had several meetings there in the early spring, and then several of us went and traveled for the month of June, right? And so the plan was to put it on hold for June, and then my situation with my mother got worse, and so I was gone for the month of July too, right? So we've had a little bit of trouble with momentum, but my hope is that with the about 7-ish people that have really experienced coming for at least a lesson or two and said that they are very interested, my hope is that they will in fact follow through, and then we can get a good group together and have a club and learn how to do some classical fencing.
That'd be nice.
And then the plan is, I mean, everyone starts with foil because that's like the foundation of foil. But
I got plastron.
oh yeah, right on. I love saber. I have a Hutton saber myself. Mine's not in anywhere near as good a condition as yours because it is well worn. So I really love foil because it's foundation. I love saber because it's so much fun. And at Columbia, I taught saber, really using a naval manual that came out of England. And so we did that for, I don't know, several months. And then small sword, right? And small sword, I don't know if you recall, the historic rapiers that are typically used in HEMA, because they go back to like the period of the Renaissance. The rapier evolves gradually into the small sword, which is the sidearm that everyone used to defend themselves and for the upper class to defend their honor. And then from that you get practice foils, and then over time you get the emergence of what amounts to sport fencing. People fencing not only just for the skill to defend their honor and maintain their status in society, but also to begin to do it for fun and over time also for athletic health, and it's the period of and the spread of gymnasiums all throughout Europe and so on, right?
Germany did it too. Everyone did it.
Yeah, all over. And then what I know most, and again, I'm not a master, nor do I claim to be, but what I know most is classical French fencing. I do know a little bit of Italian. I fence with people that fence Italian. And then the saber that I know is really kind of like a mixture of Hungarian and British saber. I mean, there are other things. I mean, single stick comes out of that, and cutlass comes out of that as well. So there's just a whole variety of stuff. And so once you get the basics down, once you know foil, and you're comfortable with the principles of foil and of fencing, and you have the control down physically and mentally, then you can branch out into other weapons, and it's just so much fun because there's so much to learn. I've dabbled a little bit with Spanish small sword, but I've really only had maybe a couple months worth of lessons on that, and that's a totally different thing when you're fencing in the round.
Do you have experience with Martinez School of Fencing too?
Well, not okay.
Not
Indirectly,
directly, okay.
indirectly. So the person that there are two main guys in Columbia Classical Fencing that I've learned mostly from. The head instructor there is Patrick Morgan, and Patrick Morgan is an individual. He's a very informed,